Welcome to Comparative Religion Research TV. In this episode, we are going to be giving you something that we discovered that came to us by research. And then it's actually an extraction from the book titled Understanding the Ongoing Bloodshed in Nigeria, that we actually extracted this work from. One thing that you should take as you listen is that our intention in releasing this is to help us to know that it is high time that we join our hand together and build a nation for ourselves. It's about making us to become patriotic, because one of the major reason why our nation Nigeria is where it is because of different kind of agenda. The Muslim have their own agenda, they are pursuing it tenaciously. The Christian have their own agenda, so there is no convergence agenda. We are people who are, we are moving on a parallel line. We are going in opposite direction. That is why there is so much friction. That is why there is so much conflict. So as you listen to this, please, I want you to listen with a good mind. Our intention is to make us to team up, to become patriotic, to become committed, to become dedicated to building a glorious nation, to building a nation where everybody is a citizen. We all have equal rights. A nation that will be good for us. You understand as you go into this that what you are going to hear, many nations that practice what you are going to hear, it was not good for them. Now, currently, many of them are reverting to a more liberal state. If you are current with global news, you know what is happening. Even Iran now, some of the laws that Iran puts in their quest for an Islamic state, they are now repealing it. Even Sudan, there are also a lot of things are happening. So please, let's see what is our problem. How did we get to where we are today? What is the drive for the various troubles that we have in our nation? So please listen carefully as we read from the text.
Islamic pledge and its implications. These documents were gotten from the Muslim Student Society of Nigeria, MSSN, 100th Islamic Vocational Course Bulletin for B Zone. For further confirmation, you can refer to www.msnigeria.org or the book Understanding the Ongoing Bloodshed in Nigeria by Moses Ojo Chenemi God Special. To understand the ongoing bloodshed in Nigeria, every Christian must understand the National Islamic Pledge and its implications. Islamic Pledge. I pledge to Islam, my religion, to be faithful, loyal, and honest, to serve Islam with all my power, and I pray for Allah's assistance. I have testified that there is no God except Allah, and Muhammadu Rasulillahi. I have promised to be a Muslim. I have promised to help Islam. I have promised to work for Islam so that I may gain eternal bliss. Oh, you brothers, Jihad is calling. Oh, you sisters, Jihad is calling, so that we may gain eternal bliss. We want Quran as constitution. We want Hadith as constitution. We will no more accept the theories. Human theories are barbaric. Human theories are aimless theories. We want Quran as constitution, inshallah. Below are the implications. Why Christians in Nigeria pledge to Nigeria, my country, Muslims in the same country, on the contrary, pledge to Islam, my religion. Can you see or imagine this conflict of interest? This is the genesis of all the problems in Nigeria. With this conflict of interest, everything in this country is affected. The fact is that we are living in a country with people who are not interested in the nationhood or nation building of the country, but their religion. We living in a country where a great percentage of the populace are people who are not committed to the progress of the nation, but their religion. Muslims can only sing the national anthem and pledge to deceive Christians that we are one Nigeria, but deep down in their hearts, they are not committed to this country because the constitution is not the Quran. The principle of taqiyya allows Muslims to pretend and lie in order to deceive. When Muslims are singing the national pledge or anthem in public, it's just the doctrine of taqiyya that is at work. To know more about taqiyya, please refer to the book Revival in the Muslim World Part 5 by Pastor Moses God Special. The loyalty of all Muslims in Nigeria is first to Islam and not the country. Let me do a line-by-line analysis of the Islamic National Pledge to help open the eyes of gullible Christians who think Muslims are building a nation with us.
So as you continue, I want you to understand this. Now, what we just read is the Islamic pledge. Now, I want to look at the implication. You know what a pledge means? A statement of allegiance is something, a statement of commitment. This is what they are committed. Their own pledge to Islam, that not to Nigeria but to Islam, their religion. You understand this as we continue, because one of the foremost Islamic leader in Nigeria went to the UK for a program, and he was asked about the Nigerian constitution. He said, as far as it's concerned, that Nigeria have no constitution. He said, what do you mean? He said, because it's not the Quran or the Hadith. That was a foremost person talking. So all that you are witnessing in this country, the political tussle, the banditry, the Boko Haram, the Fulani herdsmen, they are all powered from this place. So this, we got this from their Muslim student. The B zone is actually the southern zone, not even the northern zone. So that was their document that we got this from in their Muslim society, student society. We got this for them. So this is what they are reciting. In primary school, in secondary school, in the university. So this is what they are fed with. So they grew up with this mentality, this mindset, that their allegiance, that their commitment is not to Nigeria, but to Islam, their religion. That is the building block for all the conflicts, for all the troubles, all that we are witnessing in this nation, from banditry to what? To corruption, to siphoning government public fund, to everything. This is the foundation. To the hijab crisis we are having. This is the foundation. So let's look at. We are going to be analyzing each of the stanza of the pledge, so that you look at the implications.
Number 1, I pledge to Islam my religion. This is a direct opposition to the Nigerian National Pledge, which reads, I pledge to Nigeria my country. What this means is that Muslims are not concerned, committed and dedicated to the secular nation called Nigeria, but to an Islamic dream of a country. As far as Muslims are concerned, there is no secular nation called Nigeria. The bitter truth is that while Christians are pledging allegiance to Nigeria, but my country, Muslims since inception have been working for an Islamic republic or caliphate. This conflict of interest is the first problem of Nigeria, because the Muslims are not committed to building Nigeria for all. Number 2, to be faithful, loyal and honest. This means that the faithfulness, loyalty and honesty of Muslims in this nation is not to the secular nation called Nigeria, but to Islam. If you carefully observe Muslims, they are not faithful and honest in the nation building of Nigeria. The Muslims are the ones that have run this country down. That was why IBB gave some billions of dollars to the Organization of Islamic Countries, OIC, at the detriment of the economy of Nigeria. And recently, under 1 year, while Nigerians are starving for hunger in the name of recession, $25 billion, over 9 trillion naira, is missing or was dubiously spent by only NNPC under the watch of President Buhari in 2017. It was recorded that during the military regime of President Buhari, he voted against an Igbo man from Nigeria who was supposed to become the Secretary General of OAU because the faithfulness and loyalty of Muslims is not to Nigeria but Islam. The major reason why Nigeria have been retrogressive since independence is because all Muslims are not loyal, honest and faithful to the country. Muslims have never been faithful but have been fooling every other non-Muslims. The problem of the Minister of State of Petroleum, Mr. Ibe Kachukwu, is that he didn't know that the loyalty of the GMD of NNPC, Mr. Barau, is not to Nigeria but to Islam, his religion. The loyalty of Muslims in the police and military is not to Nigeria but to Islam, their religion. I can see you are getting the picture gradually. Are you a Christian, the boss of a Muslim in an office in Nigeria? You must understand that the Muslim colleague or subordinate of yours in the office does not owe you or the office any faithfulness, honesty or loyalty. If you trust him, he will finish you. As a matter of fact, according to Islamic jurisdiction, it's an error for you to head a Muslim as a non-Muslim. That is why in northern Nigeria today, many students have been made head or boss of their Christian lecturers shortly after graduation, simply because their lecturers are Christians. Number 3, to serve Islam with all my power. Instead of serving Nigeria with all their strength so that this country can move forward, Muslims serve Islam with all their power at the detriment of nation building. This was what Odumegwu Ojukwu noticed and said Igbo must go, but our ignorant Christians didn't see this. Muslims have held this country down from progress since independence because of their selfish Islamic dream of making Nigeria the estate of Uthman Dan Fodio. Unfortunately, some Yoruba, Igala and other tribes who are bereaved of the knowledge of this caliphate agenda are following them up and down in the name of Islam or Muslim brother, yet the Hausa Fulani man will never allow you to lead prayer in their mosque. The fact is that any Muslim entrusted with any position of public service in Nigeria knows one thing most Christians are ignorant of. He is not there to serve the nation, Nigeria, but Islam, his religion, with all his power. That is the mindset of every Muslim in Nigeria since the day of independence. This actually accounts for the reason why Muslims use every position of authority they attain in this country to the advantage of Islam instead of nation building. Lamido Sanusi was a one-time CBN governor, and before you know it, Islamic banking came into being, and the major banks owned by Christian ministers of the gospel were forcefully and dubiously sold. I am talking about intercontinental and oceanic banks. Today, Jaiz Bank and Islamic Development Bank are waxing strong by the day. Today, Nigeria has become a slave of Islam by buying Sukuk bond. Yet, Christians are still sleeping, not knowing that Nigeria is on our way to the grave. Many ignorant Christians in Nigeria don't know that every move by any Muslim in any position of authority in Nigeria has an Islamic agenda, because every Muslim in Nigeria has pledged allegiance to serve Islam with all his power and not the nation Nigeria. Number 4, and I pray for Allah's assistance. Muslims know that there is a difference between the Almighty God Jehovah, which is referred to in the national pledge, and Allah, the God of Muhammad, who according to historic sources was one of the chief gods in Arabia, worshipped by pagan Arabs before the birth of Muhammad. For details on the history of Islam, refer to the book Revival in the Muslim World Part 2 by Pastor Moses God Special. Christians pray.
Or you can also refer to, you can also Google pre-Islamic history of Allah. If you have your phone right away, after you finish this, Google pre-Islamic history of Allah. Then you understand more about what we are saying. These are things that are available on free socks online.
Christians pray to Jehovah while Muslims pray to Allah, which was an idol worshipped in Arabia before the birth of Muhammad. Number 5. I have testified that there is no God. There is no God except Allah. The God that the Muslims serve is not the Almighty God, but the moon god of ancient Babylonians, according to research. You can Google Allah and the crescent moon, or the god of the Kaaba. This is why the world today is full of innocent bloodbath. If you study historic idol worship, shedding of human blood is a common ritual demand. When you see or hear of the deeds of ISIS, Fulani herdsmen, or Boko Haram, they are all practicing the Islam of Muhammad, which thrives on bloodshed. Number 6. And Muhammad Rasulillahi. When you study Islam very well, it looks as if Muslims actually worship Muhammad. He is their imaginary God because they can do anything to protect or defend him. Number 7. I've promised to be a Muslim. Every Muslim has promised to be a Muslim and not a Nigerian. That is, as far as Muslims are concerned, Nigerian nationhood means nothing to them. They are not Nigerians but Muslims. Number 8. I have promised to help Islam. Every Muslim has made a promise to help Islam and not the country Nigeria. The current situation of Nigeria is so because Muslims have promised to help Islam, not the nation. Muslims have promised to help in the Islamization of Nigeria, and they are not interested in the development of a secular country for all. If you look at Nigeria carefully, you will discover that Muslims are not interested in the development of this nation. That is why when Buhari came on board, he threw the 2014 Confab report into the archive because Muslims don't want this country to develop. While everybody is talking about how to restructure Nigeria, the shameless Muslims came up with their own version of restructuring and started saying Fridays should be declared a work-free day, and so many anti-developmental nonsense.
And for you to understand this, that was why El-Rufai today in Kaduna State, El-Rufai have done it because Kaduna State is a test script for Nigerian Islamization. Now, Kaduna has the Southern Kaduna. 51% of the total population of Kaduna comes from Southern Kaduna. Today, Southern Kaduna, not only can they not become governors again? Now, it's been changed. El-Rufai has changed it now. Today, it is Muslim that is ruling El-Rufai, and that is what they are trying to test through Tinubu and Shetima, because El-Rufai has perfected that in Kaduna State. Kaduna has 51% of total registered voters as Christian, but today they cannot become governor, they cannot become deputy governor. Now, to also take it further again, El-Rufai, who was one of the people that came up with that restructuring arrangement, has now started Friday now has become a work-free day. Government, public institutions in Kaduna don't work, as we are talking to you now, in Kaduna on Fridays. El-Rufai, many of the chiefdoms in Kaduna, Central Kaduna, that are Christian chiefdom, El-Rufai have imported the Fulanis and have made the Fulanis to become their kings now, their emirs now. Yes. Predominant Christian communities where Muslims are they just came as a people that came to do their business. Now the people that came to do business are now the emir. The original chiefdom have been scrapped. So you see that is a test script, And this is why there is bloodshed. This is why there is trouble in Nigeria, in the north, because the northern Islam has grown to a particular level whereby they are forcefully implementing this pledge. They are doing jihad. It is called jihad. Jihad is the way. They say, oh, you brothers. You know, one of the times I say, jihad is calling, Abi. Yes. Oh, you sister, jihad is calling. So this is jihad in progress. So they are fighting jihad in order to turn Nigeria into what is called the Dar al Salam. Because as Nigeria is called Nigeria is a Dar al Harb state. So they want to turn it into a Dar al Salam. That is 100% Islamic state. This is where we are, and that is why we are having all this problem.
So the line number 9 said, I have promised to work for Islam so that I may gain eternal bliss. This point still makes us to understand that Muslims from the day of independence had not been working for the Nigerian nation, but for Islam. Put any Muslim in any position of authority in this country, you will see how greatly he will use it to work for Islam. This goes further to tell or inform ignorant Christians why Muslims will always fight to get their own fellow Muslims into every leadership position in this country, from student union representatives, school authorities, heads of ministries, departmental heads, political leaders, and so on, because they know he will use it to work for Islam. Why, when such positions are given to Christians, they will not use it to work for Christianity? Because of our lack of kingdom vision.
Let me step in here a little bit. You know, the fact is this. When Buhari was coming to power, we know that Buhari was incompetent. We know that he's not capable. Goodluck was more capable in every ramification than Buhari. He couldn't even present the secondary school certificate. But because they know that if Buhari come, he will work for Islam, they all pushed him there. And they deceived some Christians who are fools. Who are fools, and all of them, they voted for Buhari and he came to power. Now the election is coming again now. They know deep down them that Atiku is not competent to rule Nigeria. They know he's corrupt. They know his track record. They know that Tinubu is not competent to rule. They know that Shetima also, all of them, they are not competent. They know that the most competent person is P2B, but they will not allow, they will not want him to rule. Do you know why? Because you know, when he comes to power, he will not work for Islam. That is the underlying factor. That is why we are going to have incompetent people. You go to some government organization in Nigeria, you will see somebody who didn't go to primary school, who cannot write. He will be the boss. Then a graduate that is a Christian will now be his assistant. And that's why they have run the nation aground. Because they have continued to work, to push their people, just because they know that if that person goes there, Islam will promote it. They push him there. Whether competent or not competent, Namune, that is what they say. They say it's their own. They push him there. So the country cannot move forward in this regard. And we are using the opportunity to call on good. We know that some Muslims who are still good, who are reasonable Muslims, right-thinking Muslims. Let's stop this thing. It has not helped us. Look at what our nation has become. Even the country that have been doing this thing now, they are tired of it. Saudi Arabia is subpedering. Iran they are changing their constitution. Sudan did more than us because the script of Nigeria is Sudanese script. That's what they are doing. But Sudan have tried it. It does not work for them now. Now Sudan is like they are repealing those Islamic laws. They are now softening it. They are now discovering their mistakes. So why do we do something that will not benefit us? All the countries that you are looking at, you want to be like them. Go and check them. Are they having peace? So let's be human. Let's think well. Let's put down this agenda and let's close rank and let's come together and build a united nation. A nation where a Muslim and Christians will live together. We will live together. You do your own, I do my own. It's not compulsion. The Lord is going to help us. We are doing this broadcast with a genuine intention. This is not God. This is not good. It has not helped us over the years. For the past how many years we have been together as a nation, it has not helped us. Look at where we are today. Today, economy is bad for all of us. Things even to the extent that they are even kidnapping your people also. So what have you profited from all this, the whole of these things? So let's drop this wicked satanic agenda and let's team up together and work together as human beings created by the same God.
If we like, we should vote for another Muslim in the next election. He will only continue from where Buhari stopped in working for Islam. I pity all the Christians in power who were used to promote the Islamic agenda in line with their national pledge. They are all disgrace to Christianity. One Christian minister in Nigeria became a Fulani cattle minister. He started importing grasses for Fulani cattle to his shame. How many crop farmers did he send abroad from among Christians? Yet, under him, the federal government imported grasses for Fulani cattle and sent people abroad to go and be trained on modern ways of rearing cattle. Imagine Buratai, the chief of defense, sending Nigerian soldiers to Brazil to learn techniques of cattle ranching. What concerns soldiers with private cattle rearing business? This is an indication that Muslims in this country are only committed to working for Islam, their religion. Number 10. Oh, you brothers, Jihad is calling. Oh, you sisters, Jihad is calling, so that we may gain eternal bliss. If we think it is only the Fulani herdsmen and Boko Haram members that want jihad and are fighting jihad, we are fatally wrong. According to the Quran in chapter 8, verse 72 to 74, there are 3 ways to fight jihad. What is jihad? Jihad has come to mean fighting in order to expand Islamic influence and territory as found in the history of Islam. Jihad primarily means the struggle for the expansion of Islam. You can get details from my books, Revival in the Muslim World, part 1 to 6. What then are the 3 ways to fight jihad? The first way to fight jihad is to carry the sword or AK-47 like Fulani herdsmen or bomb like Boko Haram and kill Christians. The second way to fight the jihad is to give money to support or aid the activities of the fighters or import weapons for Boko Harams and Fulani herdsmen. The third way to fight jihad is to defend or give protection to those who fight and kill in the name of Islam. We must note that the strength of the fighters are those who give their resources to support or aid the fight and those who protect or defend the fighters. One of the greatest mistakes of Christians all over the world is to think that Islamic territories are only the ones carrying the bomb or AK-47. You have seen from the pledge of Nigerian Muslims that they are all committed to the killing of Christians, whether Yoruba or Hausa Fulani Muslims. Jihad is a call on all Muslims, and there are different ways to fight jihad. Those who believe and emigrate and fight for the faith in the cause of Allah, as well as those who give them asylum and aid. These are all in very truth the believers. For them is the forgiveness of sins and a provision most generous. Quran 8 verse 74. Every Muslim is committed to the destruction of Christianity or the ongoing bloodshed in Nigeria and the subsequent Islamic takeover. For our information, O ignorant Christians, there are many terrorists who are not carrying bomb or AK-47. Every Muslim is a terrorist or jihadist in one way or the other. The 5% that every Muslim pay of his resources is what the Muslim leaders use to sponsor Islamic militants all over the world. Number 11. We want Quran as constitution. We want Hadith as constitution. In this country, every Muslim desire is a time or a day when the Quran and Hadith will become the constitution of Nigeria. And as long as this has not been realized, the fight against Christians and all other non-Muslims will continue. More blood will continue to flow in order to cut off the root of non-Muslims.
That is Quran chapter 8 verse 12 says that.
Yes.
The purpose of Islam, you need to read the book where we extracted this from before you can get the whole parcel. This is an extraction from one of the last chapter of the book, Understand the Ongoing Bloodshed in Nigeria. So everything you are seeing is jihad. Even there is political jihad, there is sex jihad, there is financial jihad, there is the sword jihad. So there are different, all this have been written in our books, Revive Muslim from part 1 to part 6. So there are different forms of jihad. So, and jihad is a call that binds on all Muslims. Every Muslim, jihad is a call. The brothers and sisters in Islam is a call to every Muslim. And then what do they say? They say our constitution is what? Is barbaric. Our constitution is what? Is wrong. So, and their agenda is what? Is that the Nigerian constitution should become what? Should become the Quran and the Hadith. This is where they are headed for. This is what they tried in Sudan and succeeded. They tried in Libya, succeeded. Syria succeeded. Egypt succeeded. Morocco succeeded. Tunisia succeeded. They tried in various countries. They succeeded. And these were countries that were Christian countries before. We have done the research at the Christ Update. We've done this research before about the countries that were Christian country that were turned into Islamic country. Today in Europe, the most populous Islamic country in Europe is called Albania. You can go to www.glorisoutlet.com. You will see the story of Albania, how Albania was turned from a Christian nation to an Islamic nation. So this is what they are doing. When is the nation called Islamic nation? When the constitution of that nation is what? Is the Quran and the Hadith. It becomes an Islamic nation. So, but what you want the Nigerian Muslims to understand is that other countries that did it today, they are not finding it easy. Some people are now leaving the Quran and Hadith and reversing back to secular constitution because it has not helped them. So why do we continue to pursue this thing that it will not help us? This is the root cause of every problem today in Nigeria. Until the Muslims say we will not pursue this agenda again, Nigeria will have peace. Then our country will grow. But as long as this is their motive, we'll continue to go down the drain and will not have good leadership. Because they want to smuggle their own people. Imagine how Buhari, a Fulani man, will rule for 80s. Atiku, a Fulani man, to continue under 80s and that to rule again. That is not acceptable. How come that a nation where Christians and Muslims, and let's say even assume they're almost the same population, then Tinubu want to choose a Muslim to rule in the same country? It's not acceptable. The problem is what? What is powering all this thing you are seeing is what? It is this pledge. This national pledge is the root cause. We must understand it. We must fight against it until the Muslim good ones among them come and say no. And they openly condemn this pledge and reject it. We are going anywhere in this nation.
The height of Islamization is when the Quran and Hadith becomes the constitution of this country.
When the Quran and the Hadith becomes Nigerian constitution, that is when they will be satisfied. That is where all these tussles, all this battle, all this struggle, that is where the banditry, the Fulani herdsmen attack, taking over Christian territories. Look at one community in Plateau State, attacked people. They were totally, completely uprooted from their ancestral land. Today, it is the Fulani that are occupying them. They have cried to the state government, to the federal government, and nobody is doing anything. The terrorists are still in their land. In several states in Nigeria, this is what is happening currently. It is a planned thing. It is a planned thing. It is called jihad. It's a calling on them. And it will continue until when they have subdued the whole Christians and take over and they now enact the Quran and the Hadith as the constitution. That is where it's headed for. So that is the root cause of the bloodshed in Nigeria, and it's in line with Quran chapter 8 verse 7, verse 12, verse 65. Then you now start reading also from verse 70 also going down. It is there. Quran chapter 9, it is all there.
Then every non-Muslim around must either become a slave of Muslim or convert to Islam. If we are not ready for slavery in our father's land, now is the time to arise. This is where Nigeria is currently headed, and Buhari is in a hurry to achieve this wicked satanic goal. Number 12. We will no more accept the theories. Human theories are barbaric. Human theories are aimless theories. We want Quran as constitution. We must realize that
That is our constitution is barbaric. That is what they are calling our constitution is human theory and barbaric. So they have no regard for our constitution, and that is why there is so much rule of law. I want to thank God for Mr. P2B. I was just working on the manifesto, reading the manifesto this evening, and P2B said he's going to restore rule of law. They don't respect our constitution. That is why if you look at Buhari, supposed to have been impeached long ago. He has committed so many impeachable offenses, but they will not impeach him because to them our constitution is what is human theory and their word and it's barbaric. So that is why there is so much lawlessness in the nation, because they don't believe in our constitution. They don't believe in it. Why we are talking about restructuring, they are talking about what? They are not talking. They are talking about when Nigerian constitution will become the Quran and Hadith. So they are not part of your restructuring. So let them have a rethink. They cannot succeed because we have come of age. They cannot succeed. This thing will continue to fuel more bloodshed and more catastrophe and more issue, more problem for all of us. The earlier they revert, the better for us.
We must realize that Muslims do not accept any constitution that is not the Quran or the Hadith. We must understand that every Muslim, Nigeria's constitution is barbaric because it is not the Quran or based on the tenets of Islam. What Muslims want is the Quran and Hadith, and they are working tirelessly to achieve this dream of being governed by the Quran one day. Across the length and breadth of this nation, Muslims are one and are all committed to the dream of one day having the constitution of Nigeria become the Quran and Hadith. If Christians are not doing anything to Christianize Nigeria, we should not think that Muslims are asleep. They are on the move and progressing in their quest to making Nigeria an Islamic nation. The ongoing Islamization of Nigeria that the Global Christian Update have been warning the church about will be completed when Muslims finish the fight and make the Quran and the Hadith the constitution of Nigeria. That is where the whole madness is headed to. The Fulani herdsmen attacks, Boko Haram massacres, political tussles, abduction of Christian girls, the ongoing Hijra in southern Nigeria, the Operation Python dance, and crocodile smile.
The Hijra, let me explain. Hijra is an Islamic term. It means the migration of Muslims from where they are to where they intend to conquer. It actually starts. It's actually taken from Muhammad, who started Islam from Mecca, and then migrated what is called the Al-Hijra to Medina, where he conquered and made the city of prophets. So it's a migration. So what is happening? The invasion, the infiltration, the movement you see of how Fulani Muslim from the north to the south is called Al-Hijra. It is a planned strategy to come in to overpopulate the people and take over. So it's part of their big agenda. So it also involves, now you are hearing about hijab crisis in Kwara, in Osun. Now Lagos State they have enacted a law that the hijab can be used. So all these things you are seeing, the Lagos State now, they have legally have what is called the Sharia, courts now in Lagos State. So all these things and other southern states, they are coming up. So these people are making progress. They are speedily progressing, and they must be stopped if our nation must not fall.
The hijab crisis, Sharia institutionalization and adoption by some states in the north, Islamic banking, sukuk bond, alteration of education curriculum in favor of Islam, biased appointment in all government establishments, Islamic takeover of the judiciary, military, police force, communication structure, and other moves are all geared towards making Nigeria an Islamic country. That is a country whose constitution is the Quran and Hadith. One thing that baffles me is that despite the huge progress so far made by Muslims, most Christians are still arguing blindly that Nigeria cannot be Islamized. If Nigeria cannot be Islamized, how comes the inscription on the symbol
on the symbol of the
on the symbol of the Nigerian army is in Arabic instead of English or any Nigerian language? Does it mean that Nigerian army is actually an Islamic army? No wonder the army doesn't fight or attack Fulani herdsmen but protects them, as we saw in Goska and many other Christian communities in the north. How comes that on the Nigerian currency is an Arabic inscription also? When did Nigeria become an Arabic or Islamic country? That is how most Christians in Lebanon, Syria, Egypt, Libya, Turkey, and several nations once argued that their countries cannot be Islamized. But where are they today? Where were the Christians when an Arabic inscription was inscribed on the logo of the Nigerian army? The same way they subtly inscribed an Arabic word on the army symbol without the permission of the church, that is how they will change the constitution of this country without the consent of the church. The truth is that all the massacres or bloodshed going on in Nigeria under different guises are meant to weaken the strength of Christians and subjugate the Nigerian church. Tell me, who can stop the present government? The Christians in Nigeria said no to Sukuk bomb, but did that stop this Islamic government that is setting every stage possible to finally change the constitution of Nigeria?
So it's a very very serious issue that
With all the above, should we fold our hands and allow another Muslim or a Fulani man to become Nigerian president in 2023? For details, refer to the book Understanding the Ongoing Bloodshed in Nigeria by Moses Ojo-Chenemi Gospel on Amazon bookstore.
it's I think this is an enlightenment that we must really take to heart. Should we fold our hands? Should we? They have proven to us that they are on a mission. They have an agenda. It is not hidden. It is glaring. It is open. And the agenda is that Nigeria constitution be changed to the Quran and to the Hadith. Everything you see, and they have succeeded. Financially, they have succeeded. Educationally, they have succeeded in a curriculum. They have had the Jaiz and Islamic Development Bank. They have borrowed Sukubomb. They have borrowed money from Islamic. They have robbed the nation so much that is only a blind man that will not know that these people are going somewhere. But the issue here is this: the nations that they are trying to copy in doing these things, a lot of them are already tired. Iran is the hijab now that they are legalizing in Nigeria. Iran currently they are what? They have stopped hijab. Sudan, all the thing we are trying to do now, Sudan did it for many years. They are tired and they stopped it because it didn't progress. They didn't help them. So where are we going with all this? So I think it is high time that if you are a Muslim or if you are a Christian, just know that this thing cannot take us anywhere. Let's stop this agenda. The bloodbath is too much. What do you gain from it? Look at all these countries you are copying. Check those countries. Did they really have that peace? They don't have that peace. Look at Dubai. Dubai is an Islamic country that opened the door. They refused to use the Sharia and the Hadith. They opened their country to other people. And look at how Dubai is today. But check other small poorer countries, Somalia, Morocco. Go and see the level of poverty in those countries because of this primitive Islamic agenda. It's a primitive agenda. We're in the 21st century, so we must sit down. What brought America to prominence today? Because America, after the Revolutionary War that collapsed the British Empire, Americans sat down and wrote their constitution and became the first liberal democracy of the world. The people rule themselves. They govern themselves by principles of equality, by principle of human rights and principle of freedom for all. And that is how they grow to the extent to which they are today. But look at all these other countries. We must stop this nonsense. We can't continue this way. It has not helped us. and it will not help us. So we are trusting the Lord that every one of you who is reading this will take note. And then if you want to talk to people, talk to them. Let's stop this. It takes us nowhere. We are doing this with a good intention. We want you to change, and then we want you to know that these things will not take us anywhere. So in the next part 2 of this research work, we are going to be telling you more about the Christian what do you call it now? The Christian pledge. We'll be bringing to you Christian pledge and the implication also, and we know that you are blessed. Please don't forget to to like this video. No, don't forget to also comment on it, and then also share it to be able to spread this truth. Then also please make sure you subscribe to the Comparative Religion Research TV for more information and research and revelation like this that will bless you. We thank God for you for listening to us. The Lord bless you, and may we not continue on this path. This project shall be aborted. The Quran and the Constitution and the Hadith shall not become a concern in the name of Jesus. God bless you. If you are a Muslim, please repent. This agenda will take us to nowhere. It will continue in bloodshed. God bless you. Thank you for always tuning on to this TV station.